Hello, welcome to part 2 of my lesson on the stasis theory. In this lesson, I will focus on how you can use stasis theory to help guide your review of your controversy and make stronger arguments. So, two different arguments I'll look at are obesity, right here, and then I'll look at another typical argument that's there. So, generally, what happens is that we can start off by looking at what we're calling for by looking at the controversy. So, with obesity, people might say, oh, well, we need uh, more government input or less government regulation when it comes to obesity. These might be one or two different solutions, but to get there, we have to start at the beginning. So, first thing that we'd have to do is identify that, oh, well, there is an obesity problem and it exists, or that, people are obese. And then we have to kind of define some things. Not just defining what obesity is, but kind of the extent of the problem and maybe some facts might be helpful too, like where these people are and why that they're obese. Then we can get further into our causation. Is it caused by overeating, lack of exercise? That might be something we look at. Are there other factors? Is it just poverty issues? People can only afford fast food, dollar menu type stuff. If you look at the cost of produce and fresh fruits and vegetables, it's a little more expensive. And then we can start doing our evaluation based on that causation. Since there is too much cheap food, too many distractions, video games, easier to drive places, and not enough emphasis on exercise or not enough, phys ed, things like that, that people are unable to make their own decisions, and therefore we need the government to do things. So each of these steps can be really broken down even more. We might, start off with saying that there are too many distractions leading to obesity. And then you kind of define what they are. I have a white font there. And then, are there causations? You get in maybe to psychology and sociology. People, tend to crave these fattier foods because of our genetics or whatever, or that people tend to do what others are doing, and since it's there, that's what we do. And then we can start evaluating. It's not their fault, or it is their fault. And then we can get into what needs to be done. So there's many different levels you can look at. On the other side, if you want to say something like that we don't need more government interaction, that it's caused by personal neglect due to psychology or just that they're lazy or something like that, then we can go into the evaluation and explain. People understand the problem, that they are fat, but they aren't doing anything, therefore they should do something of their own, that they deserve to be fat, or they don't need this help, they can buy it on themselves without government regulation telling us what to do. So these are different ways to look at how we can expand our arguments. Start with the existing argument and then maybe break it down up here with the evaluation, because this could be a very large paper, whereas this is a more focused, more concentrated paper that will draw on a lot more of evaluation and explanation, and that might be more along the lines of what you would do for your capstone. Similarly, we might have the issue of atheism, which some of you are looking at, and it's a very interesting issue. And we can start off by explaining one of the controversies, not about the existence or non-existence of God, whatever it is. We're not going to be able to prove that. That's something that is an individual thing, and there's no really changing most people's minds. So we have to look at what's actually happening within this controversy of atheism. So one of the things is that there are atheistic billboards that there's one in Cincinnati, there's ones all over in Europe, and they created controversy. The one in Cincinnati was requested to be taken down, and the billboard owner agreed and said, okay, I'll take it down. Is it a free speech issue? So we look at the controversy, we explain what's going on, and then we can develop the issues in our definition. Well, is it a free speech issue? Is it a religious issue? Why do people object to that? You can look at the balance of things. There's not so much causation that we can look at, but the idea of saying, okay, well, we have religious billboards all the time. Why aren't those offensive to somebody, who aren't of that faith? Why are the atheist ones considered offensive? Why is there a double standard? And you get to look at, okay, well, we agree the signs should stay up, they should be taken down. But we have to get there somehow by looking at and evaluating the various claims. And there may be a very specific claim that's being made that you can look at. Free speech. Free speech is being violated by people taking down these billboards. And you can look at the definitions. What is free speech? Is it covered by billboard owners, personal property, private property? Can they have a say in what they promote or not promote? The obvious reason might be yes, but if it's on someone else's personal property and they display an atheist advertisement, can that be changed? Yes or no? We see the opposite, so we have to evaluate. You have to evaluate the claims, compare arguments, and look at the main issues before we get to our call to action. So it's more complex than just saying yes or no. It's explaining and really developing and getting to the issues. You're going to be focusing a lot of your paper probably in level 2, definition, and level 4, evaluation, before we get into procedural. You can even have your procedure become the focus of your capstone or your main argument by going to the procedure and just saying signs need to be taken down, and the definition, offensive, and people are offended by them, I'm not spelling things correctly, and the reasoning behind that. Look at causation, and you can look at all sorts of things. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble spelling. Causation, looking at things such as First Amendment court cases, things like that, and then you can evaluate the arguments. Well, what harm are they doing? What harm aren't they doing? And then you get into your conclusion, which reinforces your main argument. So these are ways to use the stasis theory, or the stases, to help you break down your argument a little bit more. Definitely spend a lot of time in evaluating, but also start with what you think is your thesis, and then work backwards a little bit, and that'll help you expand it. You may find that, as in the case for this, that there are other arguments that might not be as unwieldy and cumbersome, such as there's already too much food, too many distractions, and therefore that's leading to obesity. Rather than trying to tackle all of obesity, you're tackling just an aspect. And that's what's going to be required of you in more classes as you move along in your academic career. So I hope this helps, along with the other video and the 2 lessons that we've looked at. And as we go along, we will kind of break things down a little bit more. Thank you very much.